Okay, I want to start by saying something I genuinely mean. Yasmin is one of the most sympathetic people on the show. She came in with honest intentions, an open heart, and a readiness to commit that most people never reach. And it did not work out. This video is not about blaming her. It's about understanding the whys. And because I think there are things worth saying that do not get said kindly enough. So firstly, I want to talk about who Yasmin is. Yasmin is 32 years old, a physician associate in London. Her father is Ghanaian, her mother is Egyptian Lebanese. She was raised in a strict household where boys were simply not allowed home. She has never had an official boyfriend. She had vitiligo since she was 8 years old, which is a skin condition that causes patches of lighter pigmentation, which she used to hide with makeup and only recently began to embrace. Her friends describe her as caring, kind, and always smiling. She speaks Arabic, plays the guitar, does salsa dancing. She is by any measure a beautiful, interesting, intelligent and warm person. She came on this show genuinely ready, or at least as ready as she could be to find someone and commit. Next, I want to talk about the vitiligo directly. Is it a barrier or a belief? The show's format is designed for someone like Yasmin. The whole point of the pods is that you fall for a person before you ever see them. The skin condition cannot be the barrier in that environment, and it was not. When Yasmin told Jordan about her vitiligo, he was completely unfazed. He told her she was a diamond inside and out. She was introduced to his family. They were obsessed with her, fully on board. I think she came into this believing on some level that the vitiligo had been holding her back in ordinary dating, and that the show was going to prove that wrong. And in a sense, it did. Jordan was not put off by it. But here is what that reveals. The vitiligo was never the main barrier. It was the story she told herself about why things had not worked out before. And when the show removed that explanation, something else had to account for the outcome. There is a parallel here. Some very tall women try to own their height by wearing even higher heels. They double down on the thing they feel self-conscious about. Others shrink from it. Yasmin stopped wearing the makeup, which is a genuine step towards owning it. But stopping the concealment is not the same as no longer being defined by it. She had not quite crossed that finishing line, and that incomplete journey affected everything that followed. So next we're going to talk about Jordan and what he said. Now Jordan, what he said as documented, in Ibiza the connection felt easy and calm. They were low-key, not into public displays of affection, PDA. They were comfortable. Back in the real world, back in England, things cooled. Yasmin noticed Jordan was not showing his same romantic attention he had in the pods. She wanted him to show her he chose her, and he struggled to show it. Then the logistics came. Jordan is 29 and he lives in Birmingham. Yasmin lives in London. Jordan admitted he was not feeling the romantic connection he would need to get married. He had doubts about relocating, even when Yasmin offered to move instead. His family loved her. The only person who was not convinced was Jordan himself, and the pair called off the wedding. That is what he said. That is the documented version. Now here is my read. This is my take, not the documentary record, but what I saw. Jordan said he could not feel the romantic connection. I think he was being honest, but incomplete. What I saw was a man who set his own needs aside so thoroughly, trying to be respectful, trying to be patient, trying to meet her where she was, that he gradually stopped being a romantic partner and became something closer to a friend. And then he wondered why the romantic feeling had gone. From the first night, Jordan offered to sleep on the sofa. Yasmin told him he could sleep on the other side of the bed. She admitted she was nervous to the camera in production and that sharing a bed was a challenge for her. Jordan said he wanted her to feel at ease at all times. Baby steps, he said. The other couples were showing signs of genuine physical closeness. Jordan and Yasmin were taking careful, considerate, measured steps that were entirely appropriate to where she was. And that is exactly the problem. Here is the thing about that. You can have a boundary against going all the way and still have warmth, physical closeness, intimacy, short of sex. Kinda. Cuddling is intimacy. Proximity is intimacy. The chemistry that keeps a relationship alive, at least for some period of time at the start, does not require going further than both people are comfortable with. But if you are on opposite sides of the bed like flatmates, that is what you will become. There is a comparison worth making, and it comes from the same show. Joseph was asked directly by Chevanique about sex before marriage. He had been pitching himself as a devout Christian. What he actually said was, quote, "I would always want to have sex before marriage. I love sex. I really am a pleaser. Chevernick did not have a problem with that. That honesty. Whatever you think of Joseph overall, he put both sides of the equation on the table, and Jordan never did that. He said baby steps and meant it kindly, but baby steps over enough time, in enough silence, become the pace of the whole relationship, and Jordan eventually discovered he could not live at that pace. So next I'm going to talk about the woman first trap. Jordan came onto the show with genuine good intentions. He wanted to make it work. He was patient, kind and understanding. Those are not flaws. But there is a version of all those qualities that tips into something else. Into a man who is so focused on accommodating a woman that he forgets to also be himself. And this is my take, and it's not stated fact. I think he was so focused on Yasmin's needs, her pace, her comfort, her barriers, that he never advocated for his own, unlike what Joseph did. Not aggressively and not selfishly, just honestly. Just as information. I understand where you are, here is where I am. Can we find something that works for both of us? It's yes or no. That conversation never happened. So Jordan ended up performing patience he did not actually feel for longer than was honest, until the gap between what he was performing and what he actually felt became too wide to maintain. And the feeling he described losing, the romantic connection, does not disappear by accident. It disappears when it is not fed. Intimacy is the food, and they were not having any. Jordan did not lose the feeling despite the patience. He lost it because of it. Patience without honesty is not a virtue. It is a slow end to what could have been, in my point of view, a fulfilling and fully rounded relationship. So next I'm going to talk about what Yasmin can take from this. I want to speak to Yasmin directly here, even though she will almost certainly never see this, because I think what I'm about to say is genuinely useful, and I think she deserves to hear it said with respect. The vitiligo is not the barrier. It never was, as this show proved. I genuinely think you are absolutely gorgeous, and the people who matter will not be put off by it. Anyone who uses it as a weapon in a moment of cruelty is telling you something about them, not about you. You already know this intellectually, but the work is making it felt internally, not just known. The deeper thing, and this is the harder thing to say kindly, is that intimacy, including physical intimacy, is not something a man can wait indefinitely for without the relationship gradually becoming about something else. That is not a criticism. That is biology. It is human. It applies to both sides. The right person will be patient, but patience has a shape. And the shape is not a flatmate arrangement. And I also do secretly think anybody who is not sexually driven as a man, I think you will have different problems. But that is another story. What she needs is not a man who will wait forever without expressing what he truly thinks and what he truly needs. That man will quietly withdraw, exactly like what Jordan did. What she needs is a man who will say honestly, here I am, here is what matters to me, and I care enough about you to tell you, rather than pretend and disappear. And she needs to be ready to meet that with her own honesty in return. She's 32, she's gorgeous, hobbies, warmth, intelligence, and a readiness to love. None of that is the problem. The work is getting genuinely comfortable in herself, not performing comfort, genuinely feeling it. And if possible, overcoming understandable elements of fragility, which in my opinion as a man appear to have become an issue over time. So that the next relationship starts on grounds where both people can be honest about what they need, and it has a genuine chance. So in conclusion, Jordan will be fine. He will find somebody at the same pace as him and it will work. That is not a slight on Yasmin. It is just how compatibility works. Yasmin deserves what she's looking for. I genuinely believe that. But the route there is not a show that removes the visual barrier if the internal barrier is still standing. The route is doing whatever work she needs to do, whatever form that takes, to arrive in a relationship already whole and let somebody else add to that rather than complete it. Please like and subscribe if this got you thinking, and be kind in the comments. Yasmin took a real risk coming on this show. That deserves respect, and thank you.